And there comes a moment in the painting where it looks really bad. Where you think, oh my God, why did I do this to myself? This is not going to work. And somehow you just have to get through that moment and you come further.
Herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge des Podcasts Jobnavigation, Menschen und ihre Berufe. Mein Name ist Anni Nürnberg und in jeder Folge stelle ich dir einen neuen Beruf vor, damit du besser beurteilen kannst, ob dieser Beruf etwas für dich ist. Gleichzeitig lernst du einen spannenden Menschen und ihr bzw. sein Leben kennen. Künstler, die Bilder malen, Skulpturen erstellen oder ähnliches, haben ja oft den Ruf weg, kein Geld zu verdienen und am Hungertuch zu nagen. In dieser Folge interviewe ich einen Künstler, der jedoch echt erfolgreich mit seiner Arbeit ist. Er entwickelt auch immer neue Ideen, damit Geld zu machen. Wir sprechen zusammen darüber, wie seine Gemälde sich entwickeln. Er berichtet von seiner Berufserfahrung in der Werbebranche und davon, wie er das dort Gelernte nun für sich selber und seine eigene Marke anwendet. Dies und noch viel mehr erfährst du in dieser Folge von Rudolph. Da er Amerikaner ist, habe ich ihn auf Englisch interviewt. Ich hoffe, du verstehst gut genug Englisch, um das Interview mitverfolgen zu können. Hello, Rudy. I'm really happy to have you here in my podcast. You are an artist painting pictures with beautiful colors and selling them. Would you like to introduce yourself? Who are you?
Thanks for having me today. My name is Rudolph Kasper. That's my artist name. My name is actually Rudolph Kasper Halleck, the fourth, but they don't let me have the fourth in Germany. Whatever. Yeah, I live in Germany and I'm an artist. I'm a working artist and I sell most of my paintings and have built this brand, Rudolph Kasper, mostly using social media and the internet, not the classic way of going in galleries and stuff like that. But me personally, I like to paint what I like to call chaos. It's just a moment in time when all the colors come together and all the imagery comes and creates a special moment of movement.
Yeah.
Boom, and then breaks apart into something else. So I like to really express this chaos in life sometimes in my paintings.
Yeah, and you do this with a lot of colors.
A lot of color. I paint in oils mostly, and I do also some like watercolor and ink paintings as well. I do not like to stay in one medium, meaning oils or acrylic or thing, or even like a one subject matter. I like to explore because this world's too short. And we're not living that long. And I would like to be able to do a lot of different things. So I'm always changing my topic up too.
Yeah. I find this very interesting because I'm not really a creative person in an artistic way. Like I can copy something, I can draw something, but like to create a painting, that is a process that's not really, I don't really know how this works. Can you explain it? How do you create a painting?
Sure. Interesting. I like to, there's multiple ways I like to start. Me personally, I'm a firm believer if someone tells you in life that you can't work from a reference photo, meaning you can't look at something to paint something that you've never done before, that's a big lie because you should be able to use references. And so often, I get ideas all the time and I'm always writing them down. Something like maybe I get a little storyline in my head and I think, I'm going to paint a series of paintings about fairies that are living in something called the Longwoods. That's in between our universe and another universe. And my mind just plays all the storyline and say, okay, I'm going to paint this. So how do I paint a magical fairy with wings? I've never painted one before. So I started looking at it and I have friends that are ballet dancers, professional ballet dancers. So I got some photos of them and I was a designer for a lot of years. So I worked in Photoshop, put wings on them, came up with like perspectives that I like. And from there, I use these references to start my sketching, right? Mm-hmm. Because otherwise there are people that just sketch it all out of the head. But I'm not like one of these either. I like to come up with a concept first and then work from a concept and do this. But what I don't like to do is work years on a painting. So I like things to go fast. So this is another reason I paint with a palette knife. It's a kind of a mixing knife. Yeah. And what it does for me is I paint like old school underpainting. I paint a big, in like one color. It's called burnt sienna, and I bring out. It looks almost realistic. And then I just reach right into the oil paint and smash it on there and mix it on there and really build it up. And there comes a moment in the painting where it looks like really bad. Where you think, oh my God, why did I do this to myself? This is not going to work. And somehow you just have to get through that moment and you come further. The interesting part is when you're painting with these thick colors, you have to commit to like 6 to 7 hours like that night to like get the base down, because the next day they start even though they'll take like 6 months to dry because they're oil paints, that you can't move them around as easy by like 2 days. So you have to commit and you have to actually say, okay, I'm going to work this through. So you always have to block a solid amount of time. But that means I'm done with the painting in like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
My head might work on it for months and months and months, but the actual painting work, that's why I produce maybe, I don't know, 10 to 15 paintings every like month and a half, just in large scale. Because I paint like 80 by 60 centimeters is like small for me. I usually paint like a meter by like a meter and a half, something like that. So yeah. I enjoy it though. It's fun. It's a fun process. And I do a lot of ink paintings or watercolors. I do a lot of sketching and I do watercolors and stuff like that. And this is just the opposite of the oils, but you can still see by the colors I use, it's me, but it's just an opposite technique. And you have to think about it differently because it's a different medium. And so it kind of gives me this yin and yang, so a balance, what I'm looking for. And I tend to do some wire sculpture too. So in between everything.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Interesting is most of my career is built on social media. It's like in the years, especially through Corona time, right? When we all were sitting at home and there was no gallery possibilities. And, people think about like the artists that you go to a gallery, you get representation and you hang your paintings there. And it's true, this is a solid way to go. In America, where I come from, because I live in Germany, in Munich, Germany. In America, people do shows all the time. They do all these traveling shows. And in Germany, it's mostly like these Ausstellungen. They actually do like these, combined with a bunch of artists, and they have a hall and they rent it. I don't do these that very often because I see myself, like Rudolph Casper, like anything else in life, is a brand, right? And so this brand, I do videos every day. So I do animated videos where I magically make paintings appear, and I get thousands of people looking at my views over like all the different social media every single day. And to me, that's a lot more personal. Yeah. And it's a lot really, because I believe art could be for everybody, right? So you might not buy my painting or you might not afford it right now, but you can actually enjoy the process and enjoy the viewing of it. And like I said, I'm not against shows and art galleries per se or anything like that. And I think if it works for you, go for it. But also nowadays it's like, do I want to give 40% of my commission to an art gallery to make a sale?
Yeah.
Do I need to, and right now I don't need to.
So people actually buy after they got to know you via social media.
Yeah, I had a person just a week ago, like 2 weeks ago, contact me on social media and per email and said, he's on my website and he wanted to make sure this was the original painting and not a print, because I sell prints as well. And that it was a lion painting and it was called Roar. And he wanted to make sure it was the original that he was buying. And I wrote him back, of course it was. And he bought it. I've never met the man. He lives in I don't want to say COVID, but it's like COVID or COVID or something very similar to the COVID, California. And I've never met this man before. I've never known anything about him. And this is what I found really interesting, because like in the same week, I do a lot of dragging paintings sometimes, and I animate them. And I had a woman from Switzerland in Zurich buy 2 paintings, dragon paintings the same week, and don't know her either. So it's very exciting for me to it's almost like my children. right?
Yeah.
So I paint this thing. It's like a little child of mine. And then I let someone, kind of adopt my child for a while. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Okay. So you ship your paintings across the world.
Yeah, I ship them worldwide. I've shipped them to like in the States a lot. I've shipped them in all over Europe and Germany here too. I sell a lot in Germany, and it's it's a pretty exciting time that with the way the media has worked and how the internet works and how you can actually have your own e-commerce possibility nowadays. It's not brain science to set it up. You just have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And I also sometimes I coach other artists, on how to build the social media. My social media is not huge. I have like over maybe 4,000 followers on Instagram right now, but I think I'll be over 5,000 next month. And I have, I think 3,000 on Facebook. Facebook is very good because they're old people like me. So old people have money, so.
How old are you?
Me, I'm 52. I just look very young.
Okay.
Even though this is an audio podcast, I do look young.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, thank you. People are always shocked. They're like, really? You dress like you're 12. No, but honestly, Facebook is great. Facebook is terrific. And, I'm even on TikTok, and TikTok, believe it or not, works wonderfully as well. And I do YouTube. And so I do them on YouTube. I do some longer form videos because I look at it like this. I like this whole art scene. I like this whole talking about it, like talking about how I got into it, talking about, storytelling, right? And it's all about storytelling in life. And so if I can tell more and more about what I do, then it gets people into this, like, what's he about? What's he doing? And maybe we make a connection. And if I can help anybody along the way, that's fun as well. So I do a lot of coaching and like a lot of I have some interns sometimes that work for me where I'm pretty easy boss. I used to be a mean boss way back when, because I used to be a designer and I was a creative director at ProSieben. And I was kind of hard, deadline. And now I'm kind of like, it's okay. I still work like that because I produce a lot. And I think if you're like any other job, if you're going to be professionalized, like your job, you talk to people all the time, you get different aspects because you have to sharpen the blade, right? You have to sharpen your life. You have to learn new skills. And by talking to people and bringing things in, you're always learning new skills, right? And this is important for me because I would get bored to death if I was, believe it or not, even if you're painting and you're an artist and you're having this grand life, it's a job. It gets boring too, right? You wake up, somebody's like, oh man, not today. But this is the days you have to go and do it anyway, right? You just don't have someone behind your back saying, go to work now. But when you're working for yourself, it's different.
Definitely.
Beyond like the funness and the art and the creation and getting messy every day, you have to run it like a business. Yeah, and it says, okay, do I have structure? Do I know how to bill people? Do I own the rights? For example, when you buy something off my website, I have AGBs, right? And they're stating in there that I own the rights to reproduction of this image you bought. So if you buy my image, you can't reproduce it in books without talking to me first, right?
Yeah.
This is all very important for artists. Many artists just sell a painting, go, okay, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't know what happens in 10, 15 years. Maybe that image was cool and people use it for an advertising campaign, and you don't want to think, oh, why do I think about media and advertising? But that's what the world's about, It's about like, how do I connect with these people and how does this come together? And so I enjoy this whole structure that says, okay, the print's mine, because I make a lot of t-shirts. I do t-shirts and prints of the work. So I like producing t-shirts, and t-shirts are quite fun because I drop ship them. And I just got into this last November, and I can't recommend it for everybody, but I sold like 600 t-shirts in like 3 months. I was like, ooh, this is fun,
Wow.
Yeah. So it's cool because I can take my artwork that I already have and kind of make it a little different, right? So I try to make it like freigestellt, so it's like a part of the t-shirt and stuff. And then from there, it's almost its own image, but it's similar to the painting, right? So, it makes it another level of like an extension of the brand, more or less, and this is what I think is important, is like making your core solid. Like I paint, I do the work, I'm consistent, and then like having multiple places to branch it out to. And then you can really, have different ways of meeting different people that would never probably buy your art because they've never bought art before.
Yeah. And you can scale. Yeah.
Yeah, scale. Yeah. I think scaling of anything is important, right? I still want to grow in the core. And I think of my painting, like a painting, like we're doing Zoom call and I have a painting right behind me that you can see. Mm-hmm. However, I think of that painting behind me is like evergreen content. This evergreen means it's immergrün. Yeah, it'll always stay green, meaning I could always reuse the image to put it into another area of possibility to make more money off of it. For example, because we all have to eat. Yeah. And I have 3 children, so we have a big family to feed here.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So you are an example that is against the cliche that artists don't make money.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. It's I don't see myself as having to put myself. If you're an artist, you do this, this, and this, and this, and this makes you an artist. Yeah. Because there's a million roads that go to Rome, right? Everyone's different. Everyone's experience is different. And the way people work their way through this art world or whatever world you're in is always going to be different. So I think of it like this. We had 3 kids, right? Me and my wife had 3 kids. And I used to give advice about children. Like way back, I was like, my children are older. And then between the second one and the third one, there was like a 4-year difference. And when my youngest daughter was born, I looked at my wife and said, did we do this with the other 2? Because they were like a year and a half of 2 years apart, right? So it was like boom, boom. And then, and I just realized I forgot everything. Right. So it's like, you kind of like, you make your own history into like, oh, it was easier than it was. Right. And you forgot all the steps you did. And this is where I think when like people do art, they get like in their small group, people going, you're very good. You're very great. And then when they put it out there, they get a couple of negative comments, or they don't get enough comments, or they don't get enough likes, or wherever you're putting your stuff out there, and they get scared. Yeah. And this happens to everybody. At the beginning, I was like, "Ooh, how am I going to handle this?" And I love negative comments. If I get a negative comment on something, I'm like, "Yes, okay," and I answer them all. I'm like, "Oh, that's really great. Maybe you should look at more of my work. Maybe there's something else you might like." Yeah. I had people tell me this is oversaturated trash art once. And I have this in my studio, this slogan, oversaturated trash art. Because I'm like, thank you. Thank you for viewing. And you took the time to view this trash art for like a whole 2 minutes of your life. Thank you very much. I don't mind, Yeah. So I think the thing is, you have to always be putting yourself out there. Mm. And if in anything in life, I don't think anybody, and I could be wrong, maybe some people do get discovered, you know what I mean? But nowadays with like all the connected and social media and internet and websites, I think you have to have like your own foundation, and you have to keep consistently putting information out there about yourself, or actually do the work, do the art, and you will just by painting, you have more information to put out there. Yes. So if you're consistently doing this, you get possibilities for people to come to you and, interact. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not against galleries, and it's not like I would not do a gallery show. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like a snob or anything, like the other kind of snob, but I believe you can do it either way. Right. And I think if you're just, the great equalizer is e-commerce, and e-commerce allows you to have your own shop, to have your own sales, and put stuff out there. And if you're just entertaining people, to me, that's the main goal. I want to entertain people with my work, with what I'm talking about. in the excitement of it.
Yeah.
And if I have to stand in a gallery and go blah, 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 I guess I could do it. I don't know if I want to do it, but I could probably do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't have to. This is the exciting part. Right.
So how did your art career start? How was it at the beginning? Did you start when you were at a young age, or did you start later? How was it?
Okay, I can tell you the fairy tale story, but I can tell you the reality story because I put it on YouTube. So I tell both. Okay. When I was in kindergarten, I was painting all the time. And I had a teacher that was sitting there going, "You're going to be an artist someday." And this actually really did happen. But I was like, then I just never did it again, right? It went through a lot of years where I didn't do much art. And then when I was, I studied like design. Like I have a bachelor's in visual communications. So I did design and I was a creative director. And I also had a couple advertising agencies that I was a part owner of, and as well as a tech startup. And I always, it's kind of like, I am so happy I did it because I met a lot of great people and I had a lot of cool things that I did. However, what I learned how to do is build something, build a business, build this thing, so it helped me. It's like, you are the sum of your experiences. So all these experiences helped me to be this. And what I did is I've always signed my paintings Casper, and I've been painting for years, but I wasn't really going out and selling them so much and everything. And I realized probably when COVID started, to be honest with you, I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I had already started making the transition a couple of years before where I was doing it more and more and more. And I'm like, well, now we have this like pandemic, and why aren't I pushing it forward more? Why am I still like have one leg in this other world right now? So I just said, okay, we're going to pivot and just do this. And so what I've been doing is I've been taking everything I used to do for like customers and doing it for myself.
Yeah.
Like building the brand, making sure that everything's thinking. People like consistency, right? People like if you're producing and you bring it out there often enough at the same time, in the same way, in the same place, maybe with a little extras, it's enjoyable and things grow that way, and I see like the possibilities are just like, I see that I'm only that far. I think I see other people with like way more experience and like way further than I am, right? But it is what it is, and it's a fun journey right now, and I truly enjoy it.
Yeah. And what does a creative director do? Okay.
I started out as a designer, and then I went to, it's called the Pro7 Sat1 Media AG, or SE, I think nowadays. And I worked in the marketing houses, the Vermarktung. Yeah. And for there, I fell into a situation where I was making online advertisement when no one else in Germany was doing it. This is like 2002. Nowadays, everyone does their own ads, all these advertising agencies, but they didn't have this. And the thing wasn't set, nothing. It was like the Wild West of internet. And I found myself in a position that doing something that no one else could do at the moment. So I was like the guy with one eye in the land of the blind, right? So within, I would say 2 years, I had won like a ton of awards, like international awards, like for advertising. Also in Germany, I was in TV, for like, I did advertising for like Flug de Karibik, Pirates of the Caribbean, and I, Robot, a Will Smith movie that won a lot of awards. And I was in New York festivals. I was on RTL 2, saying hi. And also I had a department, and I was training people, and it was just like one step to the other one. And then eventually what I was doing, I wasn't doing as much design. I was actually leading the design, meaning I was looking at, what they were doing. I was like making sure that everyone gets the right coaching, that we have enough freelancers. There was a lot of logistics then, right? It was like, how do I make this whole thing keep going forward? So it was in it, but you still had the overhand on like the creative look. For me, it was great. And then after that, I started my own company called Naked Toast GmbH, and it was also advertising Werbung, but we did a lot of websites, and it was like also beginnings of new media. And we had that company I was in that company almost 10 years.
Mhm.
I sold it to my partner. And that was a lot of hiring and having the creative thing, talking to customers and selling your products and stuff. Like there was like I was still the creative guy. People saw me with the creative guy, but it's like, it depends on what meeting you're in. Sometimes you put the hat on and you're the graphic designer. Just, oh yeah, shape the pixel here, or move this pixel 2 spaces to the left, or sometimes you're just the guy put on the other art director hat that has the concept, or maybe you're the creative director is actually trying to close a sale with the customer. So you're just different people.
Yeah.
I've even been the tech guy. Some people think of me as a tech guy because I do a little coding and stuff, So I'm like, okay, I'm the tech guy today. So it's okay. I was always used to wearing different hats. I get bored if I'm doing the same thing the same way all the time. So
Yes.
I totally enjoy doing this. And what I did was what helped me was I was in a department with all these sales guys in the marketing in the marketing house. They were all sales guys. And if you work for these big marketing houses, it's kind of like a Shark Tank. These people smell weakness. They're selling all the time, right? And they can smell the weak link in there. So it made me like really like, no, go away, no, go away. So even though you think, oh, it's so nice, I know how to say no. I think the most important thing in any career, I think, is the ability to say no. I think you have to learn how to say sometimes within reason, because sometimes it has to be done, but sometimes you have to say, no, that's not going to happen because of this and this and this and this, and I think it's very important in life in general to make boundaries and distances and stuff like that. Even with me today, where I'm very open with my like art world and showing everything that I'm doing all the time, and even my mistakes. I had videos where I made like a clay sculpture and I had to break it up because it was just bad. It just didn't work. And these are important things I think people need to learn. It's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to say, and everyone agrees, I agree too. I'm like, yeah, make mistakes, but we don't like to say, hey, I made a mistake, And I found in the corporate world, because I was a lot of years in the corporate, and I worked when I had these agencies, I worked for like, Google, Yahoo. I worked for RTL 2. I relaunched their website. I worked for all ProSieben Games, ProSieben, Poster XXL. I mean, all these big names that everyone knows. I worked for most of them at one time or another. In different positions too. Some of them were really just, I'm the pixel pusher. Some of them were, I'm the concept guy. Some of them were, I was 6 months at HSE Fair in Swansea, Home Shopping Europe, and doing like consultant, just like wireframes and how to make the thing like work properly and what their workflows should look like. Wasn't my favorite thing to do, but it was, it's just something different for a while, right? So I've had all these like different hats to put on. However, the thing is, I've often found in Germany, and this is, I'm not saying in America we're better because we're not, but one thing in Germany that I dislike in the corporate world is people don't like to say they make a mistake, because for some reason, making a mistake in Germany often says you've quit or you've done bad or now you have to give up. And I'm always like, fail forward, fail, and then eventually it'll happen.
Yeah.
This is, if you can make mistakes so quick, so often, so possible, as fast as possible, you will eventually get some success out of it as you get these learnings. But tell someone that's looking to make a bonus at work, or like wants to make sure the image that they're the creative head guy or they're the marketing guru, and this marketing guru says, I made a mistake. That's wrong. So I just always admit to the mistakes, even when they're not mine. This is what I learned working in corporations, that no matter what the mistake was, like if I was in the team, I just always go, yeah, it was my fault. Let's change that now. No one likes to work with people in any branch that are always right. before I became an artist, this whole move and everything. I did also through the years, I've done a lot of like self-analysis, coachings, and like learning about what makes me tick.
Yeah.
And I used to think, and this was a big mistake. I used to think I had so much empathy. People, he's open. People like hearing me. They like talk to me. I'm very funny. And I was like, I just got empathy. And I realized I don't. I took a bunch of tests and they have this scala of, like your empathy. I think one was called the Strengths Finder. And my empathy was like way over here. Yeah. But I found out, and I'm like, that's true. I don't get like emotional, sad or anything. And I found out I'm very strategic and I'm very like, I'm like a cheerleader, right? I'm like, rah, rah, rah. I know there's a wall there and I know it's coming, but I might just want to hit it anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm very like, I can get people motivated to go and I can see what's good in other people and I try to bring that out of them, right? So if you give me somebody that's like mediocre, I can make them great. If you give me someone that's doesn't want to be there, it's horrible, I can't do anything with them. But I like combining and helping people. But the thing is, I have no empathy like that. And every time I tell somebody that, they're like, of course you do. You are a good father. You have children. You're always nice to people. I said, no, see, I'm so strategic that I realize if I do these steps properly, then I will get like good results from other people. Because I know I'm missing this like feeling inside of, oh, this is wonderful. I'm not manipulating. I'm not being fake. It's just like, you have to be honest enough with yourself to work with yourself.
This is really amazing. I use this kind of strength finder as well with my clients. And it's really great when people find out how they tick.
Yeah.
In what kind of job and what way they can express this personality. It's
completely, right?
Yeah.
I'm very deadline oriented. So working for myself, being an artist guy, I say, okay, Monday is my painting day. I cannot do it. I don't care what happens on Monday. Monday and Tuesday are studio days completely. Yeah. So I treat it like a deadline. Yeah. Right. So I think important in life is to work with what works best for you.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people like to really map everything out, Yeah. And I hear quite a lot, oh, you have to map everything out and you should be writing all this structure. If that works for you, then do it. But it doesn't work for everybody. And I think this is a learning for myself to be more self-reflective, to realize, hey, I am different, so I have to do it this way. I think it's important. I think in any kind of profession, business, I don't care where you work. I find most work similar but different, unless you're like something like a doctor or where you have really specific knowledge. But if you're just a general practitioner of something, you have so much skills you have to work with, and then you have to like have enough people skills to move things around, right? And if you don't know who you are, what are you going to do?
Definitely. And there are different ways you can work in the same job. Like you can do it on an empathic level. You can do it in a creative way, maybe in a very strategic way. So there are different ways to do the same job. I think this is really nice to find out for a lot of my clients as well. That they are not so determined by that personality to do only this job or only that job.
Right. Yeah, and it's an opening too, right? It's like when you have. There's a lot of training for like management and upper management in different companies and stuff like that. And people have these trainings that, I understand it, but they don't really use it. Mm-hmm. And what happens often is you have someone in a position of power and that says, this is the way it's been done. This is the way we're doing it. And this is the way we do it here. And it breaks people, it really makes people miserable sometimes. Yeah. If you can do the same job thousands of different ways. Mm-hmm. And if someone tells you this is the way we've done it, this is the way we're always going to do it, and this, then I would probably just do it differently anyway, just to be spiteful because I'm like that. But it's like you make improvements when you like try something different. Yeah. Or you at least find out what can't work. Yeah. Right. You have to gather information. I think that's like with my art, it's always about gathering information. You asked me at the beginning, you can draw something good, but you have to look at something. But the more you look at something, the more you would draw that, and the more you would draw that one thing, eventually you would be able to just draw that one thing. Very good. And maybe because you drew that one thing so well, you can expand it a little bit right or a little bit left. Right. And this is how you grow. Mm-hmm. And I think growing in art, I don't think my art will be the same in 5 years as it is today. It'll be similar. You'll see a journey, but it should always grow.
Definitely.
Yeah, stagnation is a bad place to end up. You know, if you're stagnant and always the same, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for this Schlusswort.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
Das war's wieder mit einer weiteren Folge des Podcasts Jobnavigation, Menschen und ihre Berufe mit Anni Nürnberg. Wenn du künstlerisch begabt bist und gerne damit Geld verdienen möchtest, konnte diese Folge dir hoffentlich ein paar hilfreiche Anstöße geben. Wenn du noch nicht sicher bist, welcher Beruf deine Berufung oder dein Traumjob sein könnte und du dir eine Begleitung in dieser Frage wünschst, helfe ich dir gerne, Klarheit zu finden. Mit unserem Online-Kurs oder im Coaching mit mir erarbeitest du deinen persönlichen Traumjob. In den Shownotes findest du einen Link zu meiner Webseite mit weiteren Infos. In der nächsten Folge spreche ich darüber, was man beachten sollte, wenn man sich als Coach selbstständig machen möchte. Da ich das schon so oft gefragt wurde, habe ich jetzt eine eigene Podcast-Folge dazu entwickelt. Wenn du keine neuen Folgen mehr verpassen möchtest, abonniere diesen Podcast in deiner Podcast-App. Bis zur nächsten Folge, deine Anni von Jobnavigation. Ihr merkt schon, es hat auch viel mit der eigenen Biografie zu tun, diese eigene Nische oder dieses eigene spezielle Feld zu finden.